Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into the latest developments in the Ukraine-Russia conflict, where tensions have escalated to new heights. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has ruled out any immediate ceasefire, while Russia has launched what is being described as the largest aerial assault since the beginning of the war. On top of that, the International Atomic Energy Agency has raised serious concerns about the safety of nuclear facilities in the region. Let's break it all down. First, let's talk about where things stand in the conflict. Over the past few days, Russia has intensified its attacks on Ukraine, targeting critical infrastructure with a barrage of missiles and drones. Ukrainian officials are calling this the largest aerial assault since Russia's invasion began back in 2022. The strikes have caused widespread devastation, particularly in the city of Kryvyi Rih, where a hotel was flattened, killing several civilians. In response to these attacks, President Zelensky has made it clear that there will be no ceasefire in the near future. During a recent address, Zelensky emphasized that there can be no compromises with Russian President Vladimir Putin, according to Zelensky, is not interested in ending the war diplomatically. Zelensky's position is that any dialogue with Putin would be meaningless, as Russia continues to demand control over a significant portion of Ukrainian territory. Zelensky's stance is a strong one, reflecting the sentiment of many Ukrainians who have endured immense suffering throughout this conflict. His message is clear: Ukraine will not negotiate under duress, and any potential peace talks must be on terms that respect Ukraine's sovereignty. Russia's recent wave of attacks has not only caused significant casualties, but also further strained Ukraine's already fragile infrastructure. The assault has targeted energy grids, transportation networks, and other essential services, making life increasingly difficult for civilians. Despite the devastation, Ukrainian forces continue to resist, defending their territory and pushing back where they can. The international community has responded with condemnation of Russia's actions. Western nations have reiterated their support for Ukraine, promising more military aid and sanctions against Russia. However, there is also growing concern about the potential for the conflict to spill over into neighboring regions, particularly as Russia's attacks become more indiscriminate. One of the most alarming aspects of the ongoing conflict is the threat to nuclear safety. The International Atomic Energy Agency, IAEA, has issued warnings about the increased risk of a nuclear catastrophe as the conflict nears critical sites. Ukrainian forces have been advancing towards the Russian-held Kursk nuclear power plant, which, according to the IAEA, is particularly vulnerable due to its outdated infrastructure. IAEA Chief Rafael Grossi recently visited the site and warned that the reactors at Kursk are not protected by modern containment structures, making them susceptible to damage from missiles or artillery fire. This situation is reminiscent of the Chernobyl disaster, and while the IAEA has downplayed direct comparisons, the risks cannot be ignored. The prospect of a nuclear incident in a war zone is terrifying. The Kursk plant, along with the Russian-occupied Zaporizhzhia plant in Ukraine, are both at risk. Any damage to these facilities could result in widespread radioactive contamination, not just in Ukraine, but across Europe. The IAEA has called for immediate measures to protect these sites, urging both sides to avoid military operations near nuclear facilities. As the conflict escalates, the humanitarian crisis in Ukraine continues to worsen. Millions of Ukrainians are displaced, and access to basic necessities like food, water, and medical care is becoming increasingly scarce in the hardest-hit areas. The international community is working to provide aid, but the ongoing violence makes it difficult to reach those in need. Despite the dire situation on the ground, President Zelensky is not giving up on diplomatic efforts. He has announced plans to present a victory strategy to U.S. President Joe Biden and other world leaders at the upcoming UN General Assembly. This strategy will likely outline Ukraine's terms for peace and the support it needs from the international community to achieve a sustainable resolution to the conflict. On the other side, Russia appears to be doubling down on its military strategy, with no signs of backing down. Analysts suggest that Russia's goal is to wear down Ukraine and its allies through prolonged conflict, potentially forcing concessions in any future negotiations. However, This strategy comes with high risks, both militarily and economically, as Russia faces increasing isolation on the global stage. The ongoing conflict in Ukraine has far-reaching implications for global stability. The war has disrupted global markets, particularly in energy and agriculture, and has strained international relations. As the conflict drags on, the world is watching closely, with concerns about how much longer this war can continue without leading to even more severe consequences. So, what comes next in this devastating conflict? With no ceasefire in sight and the risks continuing to escalate, the situation remains highly volatile. We'll be following developments closely, especially with the potential for nuclear safety issues and the humanitarian crisis deepening. As always, we'll keep you updated with the latest news and analysis. Thank you for tuning in. If you found this update informative, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on this and other global stories. Let us know in the comments your thoughts on the ongoing conflict in Ukraine. How do you think the situation will evolve? Until next time,